Hello and welcome back to the Loyal Sons Show. That's at the Loyal Sons on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Follow us there and follow us here for Pitt sports content you won't want to miss. If you love Chris Blewitt and hate not getting invited to the Pickett wedding, this is the place for you. The Loyal Sons Show, a safe, sunshiny place for your Pitt athletics fix, brought to you by Section 5. I am David, joined today by my co-host Squid. Squid, how we doing today?
Feeling pretty good. Happy to be back. Was on the show last week. Was celebrating my grandfather's 95th birthday, but we're back into the swing of things now.
Happy birthday, Grandpa.
We had a taste of football yesterday. A lot of football news. We got to watch a Pittsburgh sports football team play. Yes, the USFL counts. So great weekend overall.
Great weekend indeed. Indeed. Dylan will not be joining us today. He's using up his PTO, his Loyal Sons PTO before the season starts. So we all took a little bit of time off here in June. And I doubt if anyone noticed, because even though OVs and everything, June is slow, man. But it kind of feels like the second we get into July, like we round the corner and it's almost full go. Like everyone starts releasing their college football previews, and we'll have a lot more to talk about and a lot more to think about, and just generally start getting very antsy about the season coming up.
Very true, but Pat Narduzzi doing his very best to keep us fully invested in the month of June. I mean, week in, week out, there's been some fireworks / Pat signals. This weekend wasn't as eventful by quantity, I guess you could say, but still a lot of big name visitors to keep us on our toes.
Yes, let's talk about recruitment a little bit. I think this is a good point to kind of take a look back at the month Pitt has had, and really dive into what they've accomplished on the recruiting trail during the official visits, and what we're going to be keeping an eye on going forward before the season as far as guys announcing. I doubt we're going to have another opportunity to sit down and do a whole segment on recruiting before signing day. So this is probably our last best opportunity to talk about what an absolute bang-up job Narduzzi and company have done this month.
Yeah, I don't want to keep saying this over and over again because it feels like we've been saying it the last few weeks, but we're getting good names, some big name guys on campus, and we are starting to lock in a few more than usual, and that is awesome, especially as to how early it is. So there's a lot of momentum. Once these blue chip guys start seeing other blue chip guys commit to Pitt, maybe they think a little bit harder about Pitt. And I think that's the case of what's happening right now.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely feels like it's been a snowballing effect. So this past weekend, I think Pitt probably hosted the most blue chip guys they have in my consciousness as a Pitt fan. And for those of you not familiar with the nomenclature, blue chip is any high school recruit that's a 4 or 5 star. And when we refer to a guy who is blue chip, just going on the record to say we are casting a wide net if they are a 4-star or better on any of the 4 major recruiting services, Rivals, 247, ESPN, or On3. They are a blue chip in my eyes, and that's mostly because then we get to take credit for more of them.
Yeah, so if Rivals has a guy as a 4-star, Rivals is my new favorite recruiting site. The next day, if we get a guy who's a 4-star on On3, I will then go on and say On3 is the smartest recruiting site out there. Like, they know what they're talking about. Everyone else, they're nothing. They don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, so basically, whoever has Pitt ranked the highest, I love the most. And right now, I think it's Rivals, sitting at number 14. They have the kindest assessments of our past weekend of visitors, and our group included 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 5 4-stars or better on rivals, which that's got to be some sort of program record, right?
I think we talked about this in previous weeks. Don't think we did the research, but I think we can comfortably say that it is.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows better than us, you can just like DM us this week, and we'll probably ignore you because who wants to be corrected? But yeah, I mean that's really remarkable, and they only landed one yet. We got one pad signal around 10:30 on Saturday. However, I have to imagine with some of these higher end recruits, these 4-stars, the ones that are getting courted by Oklahoma, Texas A&M, you know, Michigan, I feel like they have the tendency to not make the rush decision of, I feel like Coach Narduzzi would have less of an easy time sitting them down in a room and being like, commit now, and then being like, oh, okay, fine, I'm in.
And also, Pat Narduzzi is going to say, commit or else there's no room. You can do that to some of the other guys.
Exactly.
You can say, hey, we got 4 cornerbacks already. If you want to be a Pitt Panther, better say so now because there's another guy out in that cafeteria eating dinner right now that's looking for that spot too. With perhaps a 4-star linebacker, we will wait. We will keep a spot. We will do anything aside from... They can
call the bluff, yeah.
Yeah.
Because
so much... do anything aside from kick a guy off the team on camera.
True. Yeah, but I mean, you don't have as much leverage the last weekend. So, and we're saying this for benefit of any Pitt fans that panicked from like, oh, we got 4 the first weekend, 4 the second weekend, or however many they got, and we only got 1 this weekend. You have less leverage because you don't have more OVs coming up that you can say like, hey, we have another guy that we also like coming next weekend, and we think he's going to commit, and then we're going to be out of room. And with people this good, all these 4-stars, you can't really say, well, we have some other, high level guys that could take your spot. Like most of the people who came this past weekend were takes, like no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there was one pad signal. I think it was Sincere Edwards.
It seems like it. I mean, we just did process of elimination of all the guys who came. The big thing was he decommitted days before his official visit to Pitt.
He decommitted from UCF, yeah.
So it seems like if you follow the breadcrumbs, it's Sincere Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, even when he was committed to UCF, he said Pitt and UCF were tied. And then he decommitted from UCF days before the visit. So that feels like an indication. And then I don't know how many of you out there are Pat Signal code talkers where you try to decode the emojis. I think at this point it is a kind of useless. However, he does pretty consistently use a sun emoji for Florida guys, and there are only 2 Florida guys visiting that were not committed. It was Sincere Edwards and Zymarian Lang, who's a receiver from Florida. Both of them are 4-stars. So pick your poison. I wouldn't be upset with either of those. I just think it's more likely to be Sincere Edwards, the defensive end, than Zymarian Lang.
The other 2 Twitter clues, because this is the most effective way to conduct an investigation. Charlie Partridge also fired off a tweet. He is our defensive line coach. Is a defensive lineman. He fired off it was some sort of GIF. So Charlie Partridge was excited about it, especially. And also, Sincere Edwards liked the tweet. So,
can you imagine like trying to explain this, like to your grandpa on his birthday?
Yeah,
your 95-year-old grandpa, yeah, or just any non-Pitt fan.
Yeah, he doesn't know what an emoji is, so that would be an uphill battle to begin with.
Yeah, that'd be a tough one. You'd get caught on a couple points. But anyway, so Pitt currently sits at 22 recruits. 19 have announced, 3 outstanding, including the one from Saturday, 3 outstanding pat signals. And with the 19 that we have Rivals' 14th ranked recruiting class for the class of 2024. That includes 4 guys that are considered blue chips by any of the major recruiting services. However, John, what if I told you that we could very likely over double that number?
I would be okay with that.
Let me walk you through it real quick. Jasir Whittington and Day Farmer, 2 early commits, 2 4-star guys. Day Farmer visited this weekend. I heard there was some concerns about, he might be a target for other schools to poach. I've heard very good things about this weekend, and it's cementing him for the Panthers. Cam Lindsay, 4-star, Aliquippa, things you love to see. Caleb Holmes, the guard from Georgia, is a top 200 player on 247. He's a 4-star. Of the silent commits, it is believed that upwards of all 3 of them are blue chip guys. Of the Loyal Sons, we have our sources. The names that we've consistently heard thrown around are, Sincere Edwards from this last weekend. We've also heard of Yassine Williams, the running back, and Coy Beasley, who's like a top 100 player. He's a safety. There's been some consternation about those, some other schools trying to make a push, but all the evidence that we have gotten suggests that those 3 guys committed to Pat Narduzzi on their visits to Pitt. So that could be upwards of 7.
That is going to be a very fun recruiting class to just look at on the recruiting websites. I always love looking and say, oh, this year was so cool. We had 3 4-star recruits. Imagine just having to scroll like a little bit down to get to the 3 stars.
Squid, do you want to hear my impression of Billy Mays?
All right, let's set the scene. It's 2 a.m. I just woke up on the couch. The TV's still on. It's True
Cold
TV.
sweats.
Yep, let's hear it.
But wait, there's more.
Gotta love OxyClean.
Thank you. So 7 names we have just said. There were also 3 other blue chip visitors this past weekend who, by all indications, Pitt made a decent impression on. And then 6 more guys who visited in June. Among all or most, Pitt is considered at least a top option. Maybe not number 1, but are making the final 3s and final 5s of these recruits. So as I sit here reading off my handy dandy cheat sheet, that is 16 4-stars, 16 blue chip recruits that, as of what is today, June 25th, Pitt is either has landed or is still in the running for. Last year, we had 1 or 2. The year before that, 1 or 2. The year before that, I think we knocked it out of the park and grabbed like 4 blue chips. This is unheard of for Pitt in the recruitment rankings era.
Are you surprised? I know we talk about, we won the ACC championship. We've had the sustained success under Narduzzi. He's been there for a while. He got the great culture. Are you even a little bit surprised that we're getting this many?
I don't think I'm surprised. I mean, I hoped and wished and prayed that this would happen at some point. I really thought it would be the last recruiting class. So I'm now going to, take my lashings. We remember when I was having a meltdown after after Minchie decommitted and went to Notre Dame, and I went on a very long rant about how I thought things were going to be different and how, yes, developing talent is great, but I would really love to see Pitt develop talent that is already super talented. I owe Pat Narduzzi and company an apology. I should have just been a little bit more patient, because what they've been able to this feels like the class that we finally were able to leverage that ACC championship success with. This is what I imagined for last year, and we're getting it. It was a year delayed. I apologize for freaking out, but barring anything catastrophic happening with this class, this is going to be Narduzzi's best class by a country mile.
And we're not done yet. So even if our investigative journalism / Twitter stalking is wrong, and those 4-star guys we mentioned earlier aren't the ones who silently committed, there are some really good alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to feel good about where Pitt is at right now. So let me ask you, of the guys who are not yet committed and, have not been rumored to be a silent commit, who do you want the most?
I think Sincere Edwards is probably one of them, but now that we think that he is most likely a Pitt Panther at this point, we just don't know it, I'll exclude him. There's some sweet wide receivers. I think it's a big need, but I think Trevor Jackson's obviously number one.
I think that's the clear-cut number one.
If we get a top quarterback in this class, this will be everything we asked for and more. If we miss out on all the top quarterbacks who wanted, and I don't know if they'll take a guy lower rated, more of a project or not, or those rely on the portal, that'll leave a little bit to be desired. Like, I got to get a quarterback every class. If we get Trevor Jackson and keep everything else intact, this will be not only a home run, it'll be a home run out of PNC Park and across the Allegheny River. This will land on the roof of a building downtown.
Wow. We're clearing the Allegheny at this point. Yeah, no, I have to agree. I mean, Trevor Jackson he's a 4-star quarterback. If you're not familiar with him, his high school quarterback coach is Rod Rutherford, which was how this connection was made in the first place, because Rutherford was nudging him a little bit in the direction of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. But I want him desperately, and I think we really, really have a chance. However, he kind of has a weird recruitment. He was down to Pitt, Mizzou, and Texas A&M essentially, and then his recruitment started to blow up a little bit, and it was rumored that Miami offered him, but nobody has been able to confirm whether or not Miami offered him. And then Mizzou and Texas A&M both signed quarterbacks. And then Texas A&M signed a second quarterback. So logically, process of elimination, it's Pitt, right? But he just visited Texas A&M this past weekend. Is he trying to be the third quarterback in that class? I'm confused as to what's going on here.
Well, he competed at the Elite 11 and was one of the lower rated guys going into it, but he was one of the highest performers. He won a lot of the challenges that they do in the Elite 11 in their grading system and all those drills, 7-on-7s and whatnot. So he really showed out, and I was worried he might have blown up a little bit too much. And then these other schools that were not super high on him, like Texas A&M, were like, oh, shoot, maybe we like this guy more than the other guys. So I don't know what's going to happen. I feel like Pitt's been the constant, so that's playing in our favor a lot. Some other schools have been in early, then out, and then their names reappear late. But Pitt's been there since almost day one, I'm guessing. So I'm pretty confident that they could land him, unless, we'll probably be called homers and we blame everything on NIL. But maybe some school comes in with a bag on December 1st and steals them away from us. But I'm not going to worry about that. I think the way this class has been going, I I'm not going to waste any time being worried about things like that happening.
Well, you know who is wasting time worrying about those things happening?
You?
No, every other
Oh.
Pitt fan alive.
Oh, okay.
Because the whole blowing up after Elite 11 is reminding people of someone else that already got a name drop this episode, Kenny Minchie. Yeah, I think Pitt fans are so snake bit about what happened last year with finding such a hidden gem in Kenny Minchie, and months and months and months later, other schools with deeper pockets and more recognizable helmets figuring it, recognizing that talent late and making a push and stealing him. Even though it happened once, every Pitt fan I've seen online seems very intent on manifesting it again with Trevor Jackson.
I think we got to take a step back. The Kenny Minchie thing sucked. Obviously, we lost a highly rated quarterback at the last minute in our recruiting class, but a lot of things went wrong. It wasn't Pitt screwing up. It was, I think Notre Dame struck out on like 3 transfer portal quarterbacks, and then they had a couple of quarterbacks who they were finalists for go to like Alabama, then like USC, then like Tennessee or something crazy. So they struck out on everyone possible, and at the last minute they were desperate and they're like, well, we like this Kenny Minchie guy. Let's see what we can do. And it worked. A lot of things had to go wrong. It wasn't incompetence on Pitt's part. I think if we continue to just stay the course, I don't know. I'm just being optimistic. I'm optimistic about Trevor Jackson.
I am too, but the only thing that gives me pause, and I refuse to buy into this, like, yeah, every year for the rest of forever, Pitt is going to find a hidden gem and have him stolen by someone willing to drop a bag. But I it's also hard to not notice that Trevor Jackson is a 4-star quarterback. He also has an offer sheet that I do not think is consistent with a 4-star quarterback. It is not insanely impressive. I mean, there's a lot of big schools and a lot of conferences represented here. Just a few less than I would expect for someone of his stature and someone of his ability. So it does worry me because there's only so many blue chip quarterbacks per recruiting class, and there's like 60 or 70 schools that can realistically compete for, a 4-star quarterback. So I have to imagine as guys start signing their names on the dotted line, there's going to be some big programs with money that are going to go sniffing around looking for, okay, who's unsigned, who is with a school we think that we can swipe him away from. And I think he could be a candidate for that. The other thing that worries me is that, like, I think Pitt's been such a logical choice for him, given what the other schools he's visited have been doing as far as recruiting quarterbacks, that the fact that we haven't gotten a commitment from him yet, like, it feels like we should have done that already. And the fact that we haven't yet is a little concerning to me.
I'm telling you, the Elite 11 is the worst thing that could happen to Pitt. If I was Narduzzi, I'd be like, hey, we will just give you a large sum of money through NIL if you don't go to that.
Well, yeah.
Or we could just like sabotage his future, like accidentally like cancel his flight somehow, or like slash his tires so he doesn't make it on time.
Now we're encouraging Pitt to vandalize the property of 17-year-olds, but I get your point. We should do what we can to avoid the Elite 11 at this point. But hey, he's kind of our last shot this year. Every other guy that we were looking at is spoken for. Apparently, Matt Hasselbeck's kid is pretty locked in with Michigan State at this point. So it's kind of Trevor Jackson or bust. And by bust, I mean go steal a developmental prospect from a group of 5 school like we did last year, and then try to get another one through the portal.
I'm okay with swinging for the fences, and if you fail, there's always going to be the portal. So I
It's a
would
good
prefer if it wasn't every year that we had to do that, but I'm okay with going for the big names that you might lose out on.
all things considered, it is a very decent last resort. Find, a guy you think you can develop and then look for proven commodities in the transfer portal. It's the last resort, but it's not a terrible one. But I forgot that I was also supposed to give. We got really lost on the quarterback play, but I would be remiss if I didn't add that Nick Marsh, who is the number 54 player in the country on Rivals, he's a receiver, known position of need for Pitt, has Pitt in his final five. He was long considered a Penn State lock, but I've been hearing hashtag rumors from hashtag sources that recently Pitt has been moving the needle on him pretty significantly. So he would be the highest rated Panther on Rivals probably since Paris Ford, maybe since Russell Shell. So that is absolutely something to keep an eye on as we get near his commitment date, which I believe is early July.
All I'll say is his name on Twitter is Nick, quote, Megatron, end quote, Marsh. So I want him to be a Pitt Panther.
Yeah. I want all of them. I want all of them. So we've gotten more in the weeds on recruitment than we typically do, and we've said the names of a lot of 17-year-old children, and it's pretty easy to get lost in the shuffle with all that because this is really technical stuff. This is really Pitt nerd stuff. If you aren't like a regular commenter on the Panther Lair, you have probably already turned this off, which is fine. But the point that we are trying to get on is that I think Pitt's turning a corner.
I don't think this is a one-time thing.
I don't think this is a one-time thing.
As long as we don't go 5-7 this year, which would be catastrophic, I think this is what we can expect for years to come. Or close to it. I don't know if we'll get close to double-digit 4-star commits every year, but getting close to it will probably be the new goal. That'll be the new benchmark. And it'll be really funny whenever we're upset about only getting 7 4-star commits in a class, when before, if we got 1 or 2, that was awesome.
We've given Narduzzi credit a million times for raising the floor of the program. We aren't going to have a lot of 5 or 6 win seasons while Narduzzi is here. Our realistic target is now 8-9 wins regularly, I believe. But recruiting classes like this is how you raise the ceiling. This is how you win conference championships. This is how you make playoff noise, especially with the 12-team playoff coming up. And I know we are not recruitment rankings guys. Like we are not a certain school in the middle of the state that thinks that, you might as well be handed a big shiny ring and a playoff trophy just by virtue of signing more 5 stars than the schools in your surrounding area. But like with Pitt's proven track record of getting the most out of the kids they sign from high school, regardless of where they rank on some bullshit recruiting list, getting kids that are a little bit more polished, a little bigger, a little faster into a system that is so good at developing talent. I mean, I'm not crazy for thinking the sky is the limit if we can increase, the level of talent we're bringing in.
You're not crazy
Thank
about
you.
that.
Yeah.
Are you or someone you know looking for work in a recession-proof industry? Are you someone that's interested in things like having health care, having a 401k, immediate PTO accrual, an employee assistance program, or referral payouts? Our newest sponsor, Haddad Accelerated Delivery, an Amazon delivery partner, is looking for safety-minded and dependable drivers to join their delivery service team. Be a part of a company that will encourage self-ownership and award bonuses based on exceptional safety and delivery efforts. This is the ideal gig for individuals seeking full-time work or students interested in making some pretty good money during breaks. If you or someone you know is safety-focused, hardworking, organized, efficient, and team-oriented, text HADD to 464-646 to apply. I understand that is an impossible string of letters and numbers, so here it is again. That's HADD to 464-646. For a job that's the total package, get it? Because, it's deliveries. Haddad Accelerated Delivery is the place for you. Hey, Panther Nation. Have you ever crashed your spin scooter going down Cardiac Hill? Or wiped out on an icy sidewalk in South Oakland? Have you ever been hit by a bus crossing Forbes Avenue? Well, you may not have to pay that hospital bill on your own. If you're hurt in an accident, pick up the phone and call Guido at Gurrera Law. Guido Gurrera is a University of Pittsburgh Law School grad, Pitt Football superfan, and experienced personal injury attorney who's licensed in Pennsylvania and Ohio. And it is 100% free to call him for consultation on your personal injury case. So the next time you get rear-ended in Oakland rush hour traffic, or if you fall down the stairs at Peters, call Guido. All joking aside, Oakland and the world can be a very dangerous place. If you need legal help, talk to Guido. He'll treat you like a fellow Pitt fan and never like a number. 412-229-7757 is the number to call. That's 412-229-7757 to call Guido. You can also contact Gurrera Law at gurreralaw.com. That's Gurrera. Call Guido today.
A lot of fun things coming soon.
A lot of cool stuff in the pipeline. So for starters, the golf outing, the Alliance 412 golf outing that we are doing in conjunction with our friend Greg at Rendine Consulting, and to benefit Snapper 49, Byron Floyd's charity benefiting Children's Hospital. We are helping put on a golf outing on Sunday, July 23rd at Quicksilver Golf Course, starting at 7 a.m. If you purchase a foursome, you can get one with a Pitt student athlete. So you, two buddies, and a Pitt football player. I think we might also end up getting some other sports potentially. Still working a few things out. It depends how many foursomes we're able to sign up. It's a 4-man scramble format with lunch afterward. Beverages are included. That is correct. You can drink some free beer that you pay money for. But then after that, after the outing, lunch, and a Q&A session hosted by yours truly, the Loyal Sons, with the Alliance 412 athletes. So if you have not yet signed up, if this is something you'd be interested in sponsoring, getting your name on the program or sponsoring a whole, please reach out to us or Greg at Rendine Consulting. It is such a blast. We had so much fun last year.
Even if you're not a golfer, it's a fun day. Great for Pitt fans before, during, and after. You're just hanging out with other people who really love Pitt. I thought one of the coolest parts was the Q&A. I mean,
oh yeah.
Yes, it was just another interview. You can write in your questions, but it was a more candid setting. Everyone was super open to talking about everything. Deion Hayes was flashing his ACC championship ring. I mean, Keaton Slovis up there talking trash on West Virginia. John Morgan was there last year. He was
he always has something to say.
He was making some bold predictions, to say the least. If you're there, you remember. But everyone was super open, honest about the program and whatever the fans had on their mind. So, very cool event.
Yeah,
it's about to play golf.
It's about the most access you'll get to your favorite Pitt players. It's pretty cool. You can learn a thing or two. So yeah, sign up for that. You can
actually that Q&A is on YouTube, so you should go to our channel and watch it. There's some gems in there.
Yeah, some real, especially in hindsight, some real good stuff. So you can find the link on Panther Lair. We've pinned it to our profile as well. We should probably get that into our link tree. I will do that right after this. So if you're listening, go to our link tree in our Twitter bio and you will find a link to it. But then the other thing is something equally as exciting. We are partnering with Iron City Light, our favorite beverage in the entire world, to increase and maximize the Pitt tailgating experience this football season.
It was a match made in heaven. Whenever we started this, we thought, who would be cool to work with? And obviously, tailgating is almost as big as the games for us. We love college football tailgates. So everyone, any and all, are invited to the Loyal Sons tailgate in the Gold Lot, where there will be,
where we belong,
Iron City beer.
If you walk up to our tailgates with anything that isn't an Iron City Light, Squid is going to fight you. And Squid was a Division II athlete.
Two-sport Division II athlete.
Two-sport Division II athlete. You don't want no part of this shit. But yeah, we're super pumped about partnering with them. Couple fun things before the season. They gave us a couple really cool pieces of merch to raffle off to Pitt fans. If you follow us on Instagram, which you all should, you saw the Pitt Icy Light beanbag chair that we gave away this past week. That was to our buddy Sam. Just dropped it off to his place. It's going to be a great addition to his apartment. And yeah, we have a couple more things coming down the pipeline. So keep your eyes on our Instagram if you want to win some cool Icy Light merch. So with all that, Squid, do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, yes. We talked about recruiting in June. That's keeping us interested in the sport of football. We got to get football year round, of course. I don't know if any of you watch the USFL. I never have, because I'm like, that's just a way worse version of college and NFL football. So I didn't waste my time. I would tune in to see like if there are any Pitt players and teams. There's really no one notable on these USFL teams aside from a handful of guys. We were out at a bar. The Pittsburgh Maulers were on, playing for the North Division title. Chance to go to the championship. I don't know if they have a fun name for it, like the Super Bowl. Just 2, 4, and 6 USFL teams going all out to go to the championship. The Maulers from Pittsburgh, obviously rooting for them, but they also had Chris Blewitt. So even more rooting interest. On brand, Chris Blewitt drew like a 48-yarder in the first quarter. Had a 28-yarder blocked at the end of the first half. Wasn't too happy about that, but he bounced back. Oh boy, did he bounce back. He made a 59-yard field goal to take the lead with under 2 minutes left. It was absurd. The bar went nuts. Most of the people at the bar didn't know what we were cheering for or why, but we were watching the USFL on a corner TV, cheering our hearts out for our old friend Chris.
The Chris Blewett experience is the Pitt experience in a nutshell. Just kind of wacky and all over the place, an emotional roller coaster, but comes through for you in the end.
Yeah, the Pittsburgh Maulers coach didn't even kiss him with the cheek before it. He just went up and did it all on his own, so seems to be doing all right now.
Yeah, he needs even less encouragement now. He's an adult.
He probably just thinks about Narduzzi kissing him before every kick now.
I know I do. So we're off to the championship. Who are our Maulers playing?
I actually didn't check. They're playing the winner of whoever played today.
We're still new to being fans of the USFL.
I forget.
Well, it doesn't matter because
they play in Canton next Saturday, so we're thinking about going.
Yo, that'd be a fun little road trip. I love that stadium. It's right on the highway through Canton. It's right next to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Cool little one-sided stands, like a half bowl. It's nice. I like it.
But not to bore you on the USFL, but overtime was electric too. They have a 2-point shootout. So it's not like alternating 1-1 after they do 2 overtimes in college now. Each team just gets 3 plays alternating offense, defense. Whoever scores the most out of those 3 wins. And if they're still tied, they just go to sudden death back and forth. So the Maulers they scored in their first 2 and they got 2 stops. So it was a walk-off defensive stop.
So it's not sudden death like college overtime, but it's like frames, like best of 5, like soccer PKs.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It was cool.
All right, so you're all Maulers fans now. We need a championship in Pittsburgh. It's been a little bit too long.
It was the first playoff one in Pittsburgh in a long time. I believe in about a decade.
Jesus Christ, I hated everything about that sentence. So my final thought is about the man that's going to break that streak for the Steelers. Congratulations to Kenny and Amy Pickett on their beautiful wedding yesterday. Our sweet, beautiful boy is all grown up.
Yeah, I remember we joked about it. Kenny's sophomore year, like after a big game, we were like, wow, we're just watching Kenny grow up before our very eyes. Little do we know how much growing he'd be doing over the next 6. I was watching the Instagram stories as if I was in attendance, standing in the back row.
Kind of disappointed we didn't get the invite. We are the world's foremost Kenny Pickett band or lovers. So, nobody has been on Kenny Pickett and insisting that he is going to be the greatest football player of all time longer than us, except maybe his family. So it kind of felt like he could have had room for us, but it's whatever. Still love you, Kenny. But no, the wedding looks sick. I saw a picture. He had like just a seafood bar of just like shrimp and oysters underneath a ice sculpture of the Steelers logo. That is the kind of shit I would have at my wedding if I signed a like $30 million rookie contract.
You good?
I think.
You're just getting a little bit emotional over there about the Pickett family. I don't blame you.
Yeah, so congratulations to the Picketts. So happy to see our beautiful boy doing his thing.
Well, the best part was the day before his wedding, he was still practicing. He was out on the practice field with Allen Robinson over in New Jersey, just throwing lasers. So one day off. He took one day off to get married. But I'm sure he's back on the field today.
He is
probably
so
a little
ready.
bit hungover, just unfazed.
Good for Kenny. Good for the Picketts. Obviously, Dylan's not here, but he abdicated his final thought to us and wanted us to give you all an update on West Virginia basketball. Squid?
Yeah, West Virginia fans are weird. I unfortunately was scrolling through West Virginia Twitter, just seeing what the state of the fan base was like, who is decommitting. At first, it seemed like there was going to be a lot of decommits. There were a few guys that came back after testing the waters. Kirk Crystal was the big one. I'm trying to blank on the assistant coach's name, but they hired their assistant coach for at least this year as an interim, I guess in hopes of keeping the team together for the most part. They don't want to have a mass exodus. But the weird part is everyone, even the players, Kirk Krista specifically said, let's run this one back for Coach Huggins. I think it's weird
Oh yeah, the
how
victim
they're
in this
rallying around
situation.
this as if he was just like, he died. He like went out on top or something like that. It's like, no, he kind of, it's just weird.
Yeah, the attempts to reframe Bob Huggins as the victim in this whole situation are pretty mind blowing. What do you think of the decision to hire the assistant coach?
Well, it seemed like they went after a couple like top up and coming coaches in like the group of 5 ranks. Like Andy Kennedy was a big name. He's had some success. John Beeline was a name that people wanted, but he's old. I guess he wasn't interested, or West Virginia wasn't interested. And I don't know if those guys were their top choices. And then they're like, well, might as well just hire our assistant who everybody likes to stay afloat and not have our entire roster leave.
I don't think it's a terrible strategy, to be honest. I mean, if you're striking out with all the people you really want, the assistant coach, at least giving him a year or two, it increases the chances that the guys who committed from the portal in the past year are going to stay. They've already developed a relationship with him. And I think West Virginia kind of realized that they had a very short window with the transfer class that they got. I hate to compliment them, and I do want to emphasize that they're only doing this because they struck out on everybody they actually wanted. But for their position, this was not a bad call.
Yeah, all things considered, they did a good job of salvaging their team.
Maybe.
They will lose horribly to Pitt in basketball this year, irregardless. But it has been funny to watch this roller coaster of a stretch for our neighbors 60 miles south.
Can't wait to do it all again in football season when we get Neil Brown fired. But I think I've simply had enough on this Sunday night. I need to sleep. So Squid, excellent stuff as always. And to the rest of you out there, hail loyal sons of Pittsburgh.